Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miss Pathe D, and if you're new here, welcome. I make videos on motherhood and lifestyle, so do consider subscribing and obviously hitting that notification bell so that you are notified every single time I have a new video up. I make videos every single Tuesday and Thursday, and if you are a returning subscriber, then welcome back. Thank you so much for the continuous support. In today's video, I just wanted to sit down with you guys and just have a little mom chat. I'll be talking a little bit about Botsetse and my experience with it, the pros and cons, what I like about it, what I dislike about it, and all that fun stuff. So if it's something that you are interested in, then do keep watching. So most people who watch my channel are either Botswana moms or moms-to-be, or just generally people who are interested in motherhood stuff. And most of you guys will probably be familiar with the concept of Botsetse. But for those that don't know what it is, basically, although I don't particularly understand the nitty-gritties of it all, it is a period in which a mom and her newborn are put into confinement for either a period of a month all the way up to 6 months. It varies with different cultures or different beliefs or just the individual preference. It is something that is semi-compulsory, especially if you are a new mom. I think the rules become a little bit lenient when you are a second-time mom or a third-time mom and stuff like that. What needs to happen is that you have to be there has to be like an elderly in the family that is going to be taking care of you during that period. So it can either be your mother, it can be your grandmother, maybe the oldest aunt in your family, just somebody who is a woman and has been through all the birth stuff, and just somebody to kind of take you through everything and, you know, just to be your primary caregiver during that period. And that person for me was my mother. It's very typical that it's your mother, but sometimes, you know, moms are younger and stuff like that, so they would rather like a grandparent or somebody like that do it. So there are rules and regulations that you are supposed to follow as a Motsetse, and also as somebody who's giving care to a Motsetse, and also as the newborn. There are rules and regulations. Obviously, the strictness of it varies with family to family. Some families are a bit more modernized and they don't really like adhere to a lot of the very strict rules and rituals that you're supposed to follow during the period, and but there are some families that I know that are really strict with it, like they don't even compromise. There are women that I know that after they had the baby, they had to go straight to the village to just go through the whole Botsetse there. And when you go through it in the village, guys, I hear that you have to just follow the rules the way that they are and all that stuff. So for me, I was very, very lucky because my mom is kind of modern. She's kind of lived in the city for most of her life. Immediately when she started working as a young girl, she lived here. So a lot of the practices and stuff like that she wasn't very strict with, and she kind of has a more modernized view of things, so we didn't really struggle. Plus my partner and I had already kind of decided that we would not participate in some of the really you know, the will not participate in a lot of the rituals that we didn't really understand the benefits of. So it was a conversation that I had already had with my mom that, you know what, mom, like when I come for Botsetse, please know that some of these funny rituals that are expected to be performed on me or performed on my baby, I would rather opt out of them because they are things that I do not believe in, and I don't want to compromise my baby's health or my health in any way. And I'll just rather follow the rules of the pediatrician or the rules of my gut instinct than just do things because that's just how things have always been done. So yeah, so that was my thing going into Botsetse. So basically the rules were, the one that off of the top of my head that is actually kind of one of the strictest was the fact that the father of the baby was not allowed to see the baby for a period of time. He wasn't also allowed to see his spouse for a period of time. Another rule was that the new mom was not allowed to leave the room that, you know, she was staying in. So basically, if it's a big house and there's a bunch of rooms, there's going to be one room that is for the Motsetse, and the Motsetse and the baby are not allowed to leave that room. They can't sit in the living room and watch TV with other people or eat with other people and all that stuff. Like, they can't do that. They are confined to that room unless the mom is leaving, obviously, to take a bath or to go to the toilet or to do something, but they are not allowed to leave that room. Another rule, off of the top of my head, these are rules that my mom actually told me when I was a Motsetse, because we would have these chats where she was like, hey, you guys have it easy now. Now when I was a Motsetse, this is what happened and this was happened. So another thing that she told me about was that there was a specific dish that was meant for the Motsetse, and she was only supposed to use that dish. And with that dish, after cooking, she was the first one to be dished for. Like, before anybody gets dished for, she was the first one to get dished for. And usually there would be a lot of food, like they would get a lot of food and stuff like that, because they were breastfeeding. So there was this big belief that a breastfeeding mother is supposed to eat so much food and stuff like that, just so that they have enough to also transfer to the baby and all that stuff. Another thing is that she also told me that in the olden days as well, that they would put like a log in front of the house that the Motsetse is staying in, and that log would indicate to everybody, like in the village or everybody who comes to that house, that there is a Motsetse in that room. So yeah, it was like there was a bunch of rules. Oh, another rule was that there were certain types of people that were not allowed to see the new mom and the baby, because like they have some kind of like evil spirit or some bad luck or stuff like that. So those type of people would be like young girls, would be like pregnant women, would be like just young men also in general, and all that stuff, and stuff like that. So there was a bunch of rules, like a whole lot of rules that you have to follow and stuff like that. So for me, like I said, my mom was really, really modern, so she wasn't really strict on the rules and stuff like that. My partner was able to see his baby like whenever he wanted to, and he came around all the time, and he would be there up until like late at night, and then we would just be together and on all that stuff. So that was not a big thing. My mom was just like, you know what, and all she wants is just somebody who can take care of us, and she didn't see anything wrong with him just coming and seeing the baby. Obviously there were relatives who were kind of iffy about it, and they would be like, now Tato, are you letting Junita just come into the house and see the baby, and there's nothing wrong with that? And she was just like, no, but like when he comes, he brings like food and stuff for the baby and all that stuff. So she was just happy that Junita was taking care of us and like being present and stuff like that. So that is something that made her happy, and she didn't want to just be like super strict with it. Plus Junita was there for Maru's birth, so it didn't make sense for us to now restrict him from seeing a baby that he has already seen. He was literally holding my other leg up when I was pushing, so it didn't really make sense. So another rule that we, I guess, broke was the fact that, hey guys, today there is no light outside, so I'm struggling so much with lighting. But anyway, so another rule that I would say we sort of broke was the fact that young girls and young boys were not allowed into the room, because obviously my brother was able to see us. He would come and see us. So my sister came to see us, who was actually really quite pregnant at the time, and it was like obviously not allowed for a pregnant woman to see a new baby and their mother. So yeah, that was another rule, I guess, that we broke. I can't imagine not having my sister around to kind of see the baby, because my sister was a very big integral part of my pregnancy. She was kind of the one who was kind of guiding me through it, and just advising me on a lot of things. So it wouldn't have made sense for me to just be like, oh, you're not allowed to see him or anything like that. So yeah, my sister was able to see him. Basically, he even the period when he was not allowed to leave the house, he actually left the house. He left the house for appointments because we had doctor's appointments. He also left the house for maybe if we needed to do like a grocery run or something like that. He did leave the house. We talked to the pediatrician and asked her, like, the safety measures and stuff like that, because a lot of the time these rules were justified by the fact that they didn't want the baby to be in contact with germs and just infections in general. And that is a very legitimate concern. I completely concur with that, and I really am not for just going around with a newborn and just not, like, I really don't think it's really safe for that, for a baby to be just all over the place during that newborn phase. So I do concur with that, but obviously I wasn't like super strict with it. Like, if we need to go somewhere, we would rush there, and then he would stay in the car with my mom, or I would stay in the car with him, and then we would go get what we need to get, and then we would go home. The Botsetse period, like I said, the period of it ranges between 1 month to 6 months, depending on what your belief is. For us, we did it for about 6 weeks. So the way that I feel about the Botsetse period is that, it is great. It is really great. I love the concept of it. I love the fact that, there's this person that is supposed to take care of you and stuff like that, because after giving birth, you do need the help. Like, I know it's very difficult for a lot of new moms to accept help, and they just always just want to be the ones just that are taking care of the baby and doing everything. But it's very important for your mental health and all that stuff to get help and accept help. So I think it was really great. It's really great for that. And I also think that because in that period, like, you just had a baby, whether you had it through a C-section or naturally, at the end of the day, you have to have a period of just recovery and all of that. So you need the help, because sometimes you can't walk and you can't function and stuff, and you're still your body's still sore and stuff like that. So you need help taking care of that newborn. So that much I really agree with Botsetse. Also, I do think that the confinement period is actually a really good time to kind of, let the mom just get acquainted to this new role as a mom, just to bond with the newborn and all that stuff without a lot of outside influence and people talking over and telling her what to do and all that stuff. So I really agree with it in that sense. But one thing obviously that I do not obviously agree with is the rule that the father of the baby is not allowed to see the child. That one I don't agree with at all. Like, that one is just not, because it's very important for a dad to bond with their baby as early as possible. I don't like the fact that it seems like in our culture, it's like men only start to become parents to when the baby is a bit older. It's like when a baby is a baby, the sole responsibility of it is put on the woman. It's like, even when we are out and stuff like that, let's say it's just me and Janita and then we're out, there are people who still come up to me and ask me, and then I'm just like, but I'm also with Janita, why don't you ask him? Because it's like, he is just gonna start being a dad when the baby's a little bit older and he can talk and do all that stuff. But it's very important that they are able to bond with the baby as early as possible. So I really don't agree with the fact that Botsetse doesn't allow for fathers to see their kids. There's a lot of research that has been done that babies are aware of things a lot earlier than we think. So they need to start being familiar with the people that are going to be caring for them and stuff like that as early as possible. If the dad is now not a part of this baby's life in the early days, it can compromise their bonding and stuff like that. The father also has to get used to the role of being a dad, because a lot of the time during the Botsetse period is when men just start running around the streets and doing all kinds of naughty things. We know men how they are. They go around the streets doing all kinds of naughty things and stuff like that because they just don't know what to do during that time. Their spouse is gone, their new baby is gone. It's like they just do dumb things, you know. So I really think that it's important that they're able to see the baby and stuff like that so that they too can get into the role of fatherhood. I would really appreciate it if Botsetse was also compulsory for men. It would help us a lot in terms of men just really taking up the role of taking care of their kids, because it's just not right that it seems like the role of taking care of the baby always lies with the mother over the father. Another thing is that I just am not a big fan of the little rituals that are not really explained. There's just these weird things that you're supposed to do with the baby and the hair and the umbilical cord and all those things that we did not participate in because we were very certain that that was something that we did not want to be a part of. So we just were like, you know what, that is one thing that we are just gonna do away with. And I just am not a fan of all of those things because it's just like a lot, guys. Like, I just don't think I just don't like what it is because I don't understand it. I don't know what it represents. I don't know what it's supposed to do for me or the baby and anything like that. So now that with Donyana Botswana, I wasn't really interested in them and I didn't want to be very much a part of it. Yeah, so luckily I didn't have the pressure of having to do all those things and stuff. But you know, sometimes because you know, my mom I would see that she would love for us to do some of these things and stuff like that because, you know, she wanted to go through the whole Botsetse thing. You know, her daughter is having her first kid, so she wanted to like really have the experience of hoba motho Botsetse and stuff like that. But you know, I'm so stubborn, guys. Like, you can't force me to do anything. Like, once I set my head into something and I just don't do it. Because I made a decision very early on when I was pregnant that I was going to be very intentional in the way that I raise my son. Everything that I do is something that I've thought of, is something that I've researched and all that stuff, because I don't want to do things with him that just don't make sense and don't help him in any way. So some of the things that were happening in Botsetse, or some of the things that are supposed to happen in Botsetse, I didn't quite understand, so I didn't participate in them. It is in no way a disrespect to the culture or anything like that. It's just my personal belief that I didn't want to participate in them because I didn't simply see the purpose of them. So Botsetse has its ups and it has its downs and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I love it, and I would go through it again. But obviously there's a lot of things that need to be modernized about it. You can't be a Motsetse for 6 months, guys. We need to watch that, look that up. Like, 6 months is too long to be a Motsetse. Let us let our baby daddies see the kids. Come on, elders. Let's be a little bit lenient and come and go with the times. Things have changed and stuff like that, and there's a lot more need for a lot of things. So let us just look into all of those things. But for the confinement period, the time for the mom and the baby to bond, and the time for the mom to kind of learn what motherhood and stuff like that is, that I definitely agree with. And I don't know if, because during that time, even I don't think Junita as well was a new dad and I was a new mom, so we wouldn't be able to know what the hell we're doing. But having my mom around, kind of taking us through a lot of things, was really helpful, and I really don't take that for granted. Another thing, obviously, that I benefited from Botsetse is actually kind of spending time with my mother. You know, I haven't lived with my mom for a very long time. I think ever since like 18 or something, I haven't lived with her. So it was really good to kind of be with her and just bond with her, and you know, and for us to talk, because we'd stay up and talk about everything, you know, and she would teach me a lot of things and she would tell me a lot of things. And yeah, it was a really great experience for us as mother and daughter. And yeah, so I do not regret Botsetse. I am for it, and I don't just modernize it, guys. Let's make it better. Let's make it more with the times. and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that with Botsetse. Basically, that's just how it went. I had a very good experience with it. I had a breeze with it because my mom is really cool. But I know that's not the case for a lot of you guys. So just keep your head up and just soldier on through. But if you can stand up for yourself, just try it. You'd be surprised how people can respect that and just step away. Sometimes people don't people just do things and because they don't know how we feel about it, and sometimes we just let them because we think we're being respectful and stuff. But you'd be surprised that sometimes when you speak up and tell somebody that I really would prefer that we wouldn't do this, I really prefer that we do that instead of this, or that instead of that, or maybe just even say the way that I got away with a lot of things was just to say, my doctor just thinks that's not a good idea. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. It really does help my channel to grow. And after you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell. Woo. The notification bell right next to it. You won't miss it. It's just a little bell. Just click it, and then you are all set to join the Tata D family here on YouTube. Thank you and bye. See you in the next video.